Yeah, thanks. See you, mate.
Bring that one, mate.
And that was the Cranberries with Zombie on 100.5 Wow FM. I'm just going to shoot through the Division 1 results before I give a big introduction to our very special guest. Last week it was Broadview 14-13-97, smashing Sacred Heart 5-10-40. Ross Trevor 3 goals 9-27, went down to Gazer 9-15-69. St Peter's Old Collegians 10-8-68, lost to Salisbury North 14-9-93. Henley, the Henley Juggernaut, reigned supreme 14 goals 20-104. Jeps Cross 6-9-45. Goodwood Saints 10-11-71, back to the winning ways of old. Foss Camden 5-6-36. It's now time to introduce our main guest of the show today. He has played approximately 230 games for the Eagles. He's a two-time runner-up in the Magarey Medal. He's a premiership player for the Woodville West Torrens Eagles. He was the captain of the Eagles, and Russell Hart just told me he's the best player outside of the AFL that he ever played with. What a route that is. Welcome to the show, Gavin Colville.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
All right, Gab, so everything is just going beautifully at the minute. 9-1, you must be absolutely thrilled.
Oh, yeah, I you know, when you become a coach, you're probably never actually that happy. You know, it's definitely not a gig that you sit down and just relax and think everything's going rosy. So particularly last week, you know, I didn't think we probably played our best game, to be honest, and we probably had a few issues, even though we won quite easily. There's always, you know, things you can improve on.
Yep. I haven't seen you play a lot this year. I only got down to the end of the Salisbury North game, but a couple of things that stood out to me. One is the body size. You look by far physically the biggest team in the league, and also the professionalism. Obviously, you put a lot of work into making sure the boys are staying focused and doing all things right.
Yeah, look, look, we haven't put any huge emphasis on weights or increasing size. It's probably just by coincidence that we have a bit of size about us, and we don't actually have a lot of height, but we do probably have some mature on ballers, and across the ground we have a fair bit of size that way. But in terms of professionalism, you know, yeah, I think we've tried our best. You know, I suppose as my coaching philosophy is, at any level I don't play to come second. So, you know, based on that, we've tried to do as much as we can within the time constraints at an amateur footy club to make sure that we, you know, we can play the best footy we can this year.
Now, you're not playing yourself anymore, are you?
No, I gave away 2 years ago.
No itchy feet at all?
I just mentioned out there, you probably get itchy feet for the first couple of minutes of the game where the adrenaline's up and there's some nice physical contests about, but after that, no, my time's done. I'm happy just to coach.
Would you say that the final five is set now? I mean, you're looking yourself,
yeah.
St Peter's, Salisbury North, who are a dark horse at the moment, Gazer and Ross Trevor.
I would look for, you know, I mean, I can only go on what I've seen and who we've played. I would suggest the top 5 teams at the moment are probably the best teams that we've played. Having said that, what I've learnt is particularly this time of year, you know, when things change a little bit with injuries and you get a lot of guys out and missing, and for us, a couple of guys going on holidays and these type of things. So it's much about having your best team at the end of the year. At this time of year, it can be a little bit tough, you know, and your depth's probably tested a bit.
And do you find that frustrating as a coach, that players go on holidays in footy season? It would piss me off no end as a coach if players said to me, I'm going on holidays for 2 weeks.
Yeah, look, it's not ideal. It does, but I think, you know, one of the things coming back from a league football club is trying to understand at what level and what commitment is required at this level, and I suppose you sort of learn from the culture of your football club. I'm a big believer that people play the best footy when they are happy, and footy is complements their lifestyle, and if that means that guys want to get away for a little bit, I'd prefer them to do that and come back and be ready to go, rather than resent playing football and perhaps not be there the following year. So, having said that, I don't want 21 guys going over to Bali mid-season. But yeah, look, in certain circumstances, I think it's okay.
Would you say that St Peter's and Salisbury North are going to be your biggest dangers?
I wouldn't, look, as I said before, from the games we've played, I wouldn't discount anyone in the top 5. Gazer had us 6 goals to zip. in the first 15 minutes of that game. We played them and played some phenomenally good football. So I would definitely not discount them. And to be honest, when we played Ross Trevor as well, we only got them in the last 15 minutes of the game. So, you know, look, obviously St Peter's are the one team that beat us. So at the moment, you know, our focus will be definitely trying to change that round when we play them in a few weeks' time.
Which is surprising what you said, because St Peter's went down the rocks last week, which surprised me. And I spoke to Trevor last night actually, and he said that they just played superb footy. Trevor?
Yeah, they to be honest, you know, to have two teams, from my experience over the past 4 years, to have two teams come up from Div 2 and play so well, it is a real surprise.
Both been in the top 5.
Yeah, and I think perhaps they maybe caught some teams, got under the guard of a few teams, but both of those played, you know, competitive and smart football, both teams. So.
Did you catch up with the weed after you played?
Yeah, I do. I do. I catch up with Wayne. As I've known Wayne. I came over to South Australia as an 18-year-old at Woodville, West Torrens, and Wayne was one of the guys there then. And he's a terrific person to catch up with. I
must say commiserations to Wayne. He lost his father during the week as well. So to Wayne, from all the boys here, I feel sorry to hear that.
Hey, tell us who's been really standing up for your boys this year. A lot of big names in the team, but who's having a good year?
Look, probably in all honesty,
18 players.
Yeah, look, it has been pleasing to have consistent players and a lot of different players standing up each week. I think Vinny Regolo's had a really good season, which is great for Vinny. He was probably a little bit quiet last year, and got his fitness back up and has played really well. Peter Hoban, who we were quite fortunate to pick up about a week or two before the start of the season.
Is that Terry, sir?
No, Hoban, HB-O-N,
yeah.
So Peter's, he was at the Eagles for a couple of years. He actually hadn't played football before that, and came to us, found the commitment at the Eagles a little bit too much. So he's been really good in the ruck. Sam Philippo again, for a guy who's just turned 38 years old at full forward. He's
still doing the job, isn't he?
35 for the year, not a bad thing.
He's just exceptionally consistent in the way. And you know, if you want to see professionalism, he would be the most professional amateur footballer, I think, in terms of his training and what he does to make sure he can play at this level.
I'll tell you someone that's impressed me, seeing regularly pop up in this place, Grosser.
Yeah, Jamie Grosser's a lad. He was at Gazer for a little while, then went back home to Bordertown. We're fortunate that he came to us. He lives around the corner from the club. He's mate with. He played with a couple of guys who played at Bordertown last year, who were Henley guys, James Stewart and Jamie Camerano. Yeah. He's added a bit of an element. He plays up forward, and you know, I think you need, you know, one of those small forwards who can bob up and kick 2 or 3 each week, and he's done that for us.
Your reserves, reserves, they're in the
they're top, mate. 10 and 8.
So your depth is good, where a few of the clubs like Gazer just don't have that depth.
Yeah, so, and as I mentioned before, I think that's going to help us out. Hopefully, you know, in the next 6 to 7 weeks, where you do have a few more injuries, and it is a good thing. We've got a few now. We've got a few injuries, but you know, we had probably up to 7 guys who were playing B grade footy who I honestly thought deserved to play A grade footy. And most of those are going to get an opportunity over the next month, which is great. It's going to be hard to keep them around, to be honest, in future years, because you know, that's the risk you have when you are a relatively successful team. And some guys miss out.
There's a lot of camaraderie in that.
And look, we have a great Stewie Whitehouse, our B grade coach, does a really good job. And look, I hope they can go all the way. I mean, they've been in the grand final the last 3 years, won it last year, and I'd expect they're going to go pretty close again. And it is good. I'm always conscious of guys when you're playing B grades, but particularly a lot of those guys have done pre-season from November. They don't miss a session, and they do all the work. And sometimes they don't get the accolades of an A grade footballer. So hopefully they get the success at the end of the year.
Nothing makes you happier than winning a premiership. That's all we play football. So let's get on to this week's games, gentlemen. We'll start with Jeps Cross and Broadview. It's at Jeps Cross at Duncan Fraser Reserve. Jeps Cross looking for their second win of the year. I don't think they will get it. I think Broadview will be too strong.
Yep, Broadies.
Oh yeah, I think Broadview.
Yep. All right.
Sacred Heart and St Peter's.
Yeah, it's the battle of the college teams, you just form would suggest you just have to tip St Peter's. Sacred Heart just can't kick enough goals at the moment, and despite the fact they've got some pretty impressive names on their list, it's just not happening for them this year. I'll take St Peter's.
Yep, easy.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a fair turnaround.
Yep. Salisbury North and Ross Trevor, probably two teams I didn't think would finish in the finals, but they certainly look like they're going to. It's third versus fifth. It's at Salisbury North. You've got to be impressed with what Eugene Warriors doing with this squad this year. They look good. Jordan Erskine's been a big in for them, and I think they'll have all the answers for Ross Trevor today.
Too much. They're all over the ground. They've got the strength. Eugene's got moving well, so they'll beat Rocks.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think their form's pretty good.
And next one is a game, that they competed in a couple of grand finals against each other. It's Gazer and Goodwood. It's not at Gazer, it's meant to be at Gazer, but the games won't be at Gazer for the rest of the year. I assume it's at Debenham.
Yeah.
Goodwood, if Goodwood do want to play finals, they must win today. It's a must-win game, but I don't think they'll have the answers for Gazer. Boust and Boxer are both in good form, coming off state duties, and I think Gazer should win and win quite well.
Even with Damasi coming in the side today, I still don't think it'll be enough for them. I think Gazer, Grange will have them moving well.
Yeah, I think Goody Saints probably one team that could still make the finals. We played them a couple of weeks ago, and I looked through their team list, and it was still an exceptionally strong list. They probably just need to get a bit of momentum, but I don't think they've probably got the game at the moment to beat Gazer.
No, it's now game of the round. It's two former Eagles teammates in Wayne Weedham and Gavin Colville butting heads in coaching ranks, but it's Foss Camden and Henley. It's out at Foss, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, you're 9-1, mate, and I think Foss are 3-7, are they?
Yeah.
All the form suggests that you'd be too good. Still Foss Camden are a talented team coming up from Dip 2 a couple of years ago. Certainly shows signs. They've got a lot of strong bodies and some very good footballers, but I think there's just too many winners. Too many good on bowlers and good forwards, Pavlich and Phillip, who I think, mate, you'll be probably should be to the good about 6 or 7 goals.
Yeah, if you go by the premiership table and form, you'd have to say that Henley will win this, but I still think Weed'll have the boys lift a little bit and try and push it, but I would say Henley by a few.
Yeah, look, obviously I'm expecting to win,
but hope so.
Look, we actually lost out there to Foss Camden last year, and they played their own oval very smartly and probably broke down our game plan a little bit. So we're certainly aware of that this year, and hopefully we'll be a bit smarter about the way we go about it.
No worries, Gav, it's been great having you on the show. Is there anyone you wanted to thank at all?
Well, I bet you there's some great sponsors at the club there. Is Terry Homan a sponsor of the club?
I don't know if actually Terry is sponsoring. He's actually he's our president now. So
is he? Heaven forbid.
He probably
the old hose.
He probably puts enough work in doing that. Then
well, I reckon
monetary value.
I would think that the Lakes Resort are very good to you. Sports Centre you've got on board, and Henley Square Foodland, and Aloka Wheels, and the club is certainly going in the right direction.
You're on the takeout there, Dave.
Hey?
You're on the takeout there.
Well, they're actually listed in the best read footy budget in Adelaide. So Lakes Resort, Greg Fay, fantastic bloke, great supporter of amateur league football, and Ian Knight at Sports Centre on Port Road as well.
Beautiful.
Obviously, that shows up on all their gear that's all made by Sports Centre.
Lovely work, David. Look, thanks for being on the show, Gav. We're going to have to run because it's time for Jorge with Voices of Our Land. We wish you all the best for the rest of the year. Have absolutely no doubt at all it's going to be a great season for the Henley Footy Club, and you're probably going to experience everything you want this year. Bit of a success, perhaps a premiership.
Yeah, look, we certainly hope so. We've got a bit of work to do. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, thank you.
Great, mate.